3 in our countdown of myths about germs. Number 3, soap is soap. Well, isn't it? Actually, many people worried about getting sick by antibacterial soap. It may cost more, but for years the ads have said it's better.
You got kids, you got germs. You need a soap that's made to kill germs.
Sounds good, and people believe.
Especially during cold and flu season, I just like to make sure that I'm killing the bacteria.
That's the whole purpose of it being antibacterial. It's supposed to work harder for you, right?
But does it really make a difference? We followed some people who get their hands very dirty. Workers at New York's Staten Island Zoo.
Here he comes back. Good girl.
Microbiologist Christine Ginocchio took samples of what was on the workers' hands.
You're just going to touch it to the plate, put it flat, and lift it up. Okay. You're going to turn the faucet on.
Then she gave them a lesson on hand-washing technique.
So you want to wash your hands for 30 seconds. And what
Do people really need a lesson in hand-washing?
And don't be afraid to use a good amount of soap.
Yes, say microbiologists, because few of us do it right.
You want to make sure that you really, really lather up the soap, and you want to use a lot of friction, because
The friction gets rid of the dead skin and dirt that harbors germs.
And then you're going to rinse thoroughly.
Then rinse well, and this part kills me because she's wasting water. Dry your hands and don't touch any part of the sink with your clean hands.
You're going to use your paper towels to turn off your faucet.
Then the workers washed. Half used ordinary soap and the other half used Dial antibacterial, the bestseller.
What we did.
We took a sample of what was now on their hands and allowed the bacteria to grow for 3 days.
The majority of the bacteria is what we call transient bacteria that you pick up when you touch different surfaces in the environment.
Here's what an unwashed hand did to the Petri dish. But after washing, an unscientific comparison showed both the antibacterial and the regular soap did a good job killing bacteria.
Maybe a little bit more with the antibacterial in this one group versus with the non.
In other words, even if your workplace is a zoo, just washing your hands well will do a lot. Now, antibacterials can kill more germs for a longer time, which is why they're useful in hospitals. But they have no effect on viruses. And will they keep your family from getting sick? Dial says they'll help, but Columbia University researchers once studied hundreds of households, some of which used antibacterial products, others which didn't. They found no difference in coughs, runny noses, sore throats, and other illnesses.
The most important thing is simply really, really good hand washing, independent of the type of soap that you might use.
But that raises the question, do people wash?
Jerry!
The sitcom portrayed what happens more often than we'd like to think.
I'm personally going to prepare the dinner for you and the Mayodri.
A recent nationwide survey found 25% of men don't wash their hands after using public restrooms. Women do better, only 10% of them don't wash. We ran our own test at this restaurant where the sink is out in the hall. So what would happen? Would most people wash their hands? I hope so. Well, most did, fortunately. But a third of the men coming out of the bathroom walked right past the sink. Not good for them, not good for you.
And now on to myth number 2. A dog's mouth is cleaner than yours. Dog lovers believe it, but is it true? Deborah Roberts checks it out.
Rowan and Riley Paul are like pet lovers everywhere. They can't get enough affection from their dog Ginger.
When she wakes you up in the morning, like when you're sleeping, she goes,
Give Daddy kisses now. Oh, there you go.
And if licking is loving, dog owners seem to get lots of it.
I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you.
But what if you're like Charlie Brown's friend Lucy?
Dog! I've been kissed by a dog! I have dog germs! Get hot water! Get some disinfectant! Get some iodine!
Maybe she's on to something. Have you seen the places dogs put their mouths? But there is the old adage.
A dog's mouth is cleaner than a human's.
Lots of people think that's true.
Their saliva is much cleaner, and if you have a cut or anything, if they lick it, it's a healing factor. It's like a septic.
Really? We asked veterinarian and fellow dog lover Marty Becker, author of Chicken Soup for the Dog Owner's Soul.
Well, they lick their privates, they raid the garbage can, You know, we give each other a peck on the cheek when we say hello. They give each other a peck on the rear end. I mean, all you got to do is look, watch, smell, and you'll realize that that is not true.
So where did this idea come from that dogs' mouths are cleaner than humans?
The dog will have a wound, and they'll be licking that wound, and you'll notice that the wound heals very fast. But what that tongue does is it gets rid of the dead tissue, just like a surgeon would debride a wound to get down to healthy tissue. And also the licking action stimulates circulation.
And there's another reason people believe the myth.
The bacteria that's in a dog's mouth, they're species specific. So a staph or a strep for a human is not transmissible to a dog if you were to kiss it, and vice versa.
The bottom line is you're more likely to get a serious illness from kissing a person than kissing a dog.
I like you, but no licking in the mouth.
But since dogs do transmit some germs, Dr. Becker has advice.
Keep the vaccines current, good external parasite control, good internal parasite control. You're going to be good to go.
And then kiss all you want.
Kiss all you want.
Good news for dog lovers.
Hey, buddy! Oh, hey. You come home and you're a rock star. They love you and they race to greet you. You're not going to go home and see the dog's suitcases are packed. They love us unconditionally. They make us laugh. And you know what? If we're going to give them a little kiss to thank them for that, that's good by me.
You peed on me? That's okay.
2020 continues with The Dirty Dozen after this from our ABC stations.
Deadly threat hiding inside America's hospitals. What's even scarier, your hospital is probably keeping it a secret.
I felt so betrayed by the hospital.
Maureen Daly's mother was a healthy 63-year-old woman when she had surgery to fix a broken shoulder. But in the hospital, she got an infection that left her immobilized on a respirator. Maureen was told that life-threatening germs are an inevitable fact of hospital life.
I cannot accept that it would be a fact of life that you can walk into a hospital with a broken shoulder and leave practically dead.
Maureen's mother died 4 months later. It turns out that hospital infections are the fourth leading cause of death in the United States.
These infections kill as many people each year in our country as AIDS, breast cancer, and auto accidents combined.
Why aren't hospitals doing more about it? It just seems a no-brainer that they should be very worried.
Well, secrecy has allowed this problem to fester. Most states have not required hospitals to report their infections or provided that information to the public.
Pennsylvania is one of only 6 states that has passed a law requiring the reporting of infections. Experts say that public disclosure forces hospitals to reduce infection rates. Dr. Rick Shannon, chief of medicine at Allegheny General Hospital in Pittsburgh, looked at the data on patients in the hospital's intensive care units. He was stunned.
51% of the people that got these infections died. Half the people that got one died.
Dr. Shannon wasted no time. He gave an order to the ICU staff, reduce hospital infections to 0 in just 90 days.
After he left, we shook our heads and we thought, is he not? We thought he might be losing it a little bit, and how are we going to do that?
But after just 1 week, the ICU staff identified the problem. It wasn't a superbug, it was the staff. And they each had their own way of washing hands, changing dressings, and putting in catheters.
No one actually knew what the right way to do it was. And not knowing what the right way was, all these little errors could creep in that would lead to an infection.
And then the hand sanitizers, it couldn't be any closer to the door.
Dr. Shannon and his team quickly found solutions, like putting in more hand sanitizers and raising the head of the bed 30 degrees to prevent pneumonia. The results were unbelievable.
90 days later, we went from 49 infections to 0.
Now, a year later, only 1 patient in the ICU has died from an infection.
The public has a right to this information. If you're going into the hospital, you should be able to find out which hospital in your area has a serious infection problem so you can stay away from that hospital.
And here's the single best thing you can do to keep yourself safe from dangerous germs in any hospital.
Most important, ask doctors and nurses to clean their hands before touching you. If you're worried about being too aggressive, just remember your life is at stake.
The last word on germs.